Hello everyone, this is Khalid and you're watching K in QZ. Today we are going to review this Kent bathroom water softener. We're going to see how it works and we're also going to see if this particular product is worth our money and does it really solve the problem which it promises to solve, which is to remove the hardness of the water and to provide soft water on our everyday basis. Before we get started, let us learn what is hard water. Hard water is nothing but water which consists of various minerals, especially calcium and magnesium salts. So higher concentrations of calcium and magnesium salts is what causes the water to be hard. What are the harmful effects of hard water? Hard water ends up accumulating on our skin and causes dry skin and itchiness. It also gets accumulated on our scalp, and then the residue which is left behind might cause dandruff and other skin related problems. And the second most common reason is our bathroom tiles and faucets, pipes, buckets, everything gets this white formation on it. You've seen it, you've already seen some, they call it a scale formation. So these scale formation is more or less a nuisance on a shorter run. But on the longer run, what happens is it starts discoloration on our tiles and faucets as well. Also, it starts clogging our pipes and pumps, and you need to spend a lot more money to get it fixed. So it is more than a nuisance which needs to be fixed, and that is why I personally started looking at softeners which are available in the market to help me solve this problem. Now that we have learned about what is hard water and the harmful effects of hard water, let me teach you a way to identify if your water is hard in a more economical manner. And I'm sure there are a lot of tools which can exactly measure how much hardness your water is. But today I'm not going to do all that because you and I probably don't have that lying around. So I'm going to teach you using soap. What you need to do is, and I also have a sample of RO water as well. I'll tell you why I am even showing you that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start dissolving the soap on each water, and I'm going to show you how it ends up looking. So first, let's start dissolving soap on RO water. I'll first dissolve on both the waters and I'll show you what I'm trying to show. Okay, I've dissolved soap on both the waters. As you can see, this is hard water and this is RO water. From the looks of it, you can clearly see what soap does to the water. Can you see this coagulation which has happened on hard water, whereas on soft water, RO is basically purified water, so obviously it's supposed to be soft. And given the soft nature of the water, you can't see any soap scum. That's right, this is called soap scum. What is the reason behind it? Why is there a scum formation on the hard water, whereas there is no formation on the soft water? And this formation is what causes the scale formation as well, and the white patchy marks on all over. Even for example, if you're washing your clothes on such hard water, there is higher chances that you might see roughness or patchiness on your clothes as well. So this formation is because of calcium and magnesium salts which are present in the hard water. What it does is, so this calcium and magnesium salts, if you know how soap works, soap has a fatty ingredient to it. So this calcium and magnesium minerals starts coagulating with the fatty part of the soap, and thus is the reason for such coagulation. And what if it coagulates? I don't really care, right? So what if it coagulates? What does coagulation is going to do is, the fatty part of the soap is what acts or works as the cleansing agent. That is actually what cleans the surfaces, our body when we are washing it up and so on. So if that starts coagulating with soap, it ends up losing its efficiency. So we might end up using more soap than normal to get the same results. That's right. So this is an easier way to find out if your water is really hard. Now, what we're going to do is see how this water softener solves this problem. Let me tell you how this softener works, and then I'll tell you if it's worth the money or the effort to install it and so on. So as you could see right here, this softener is going to work in a manner where only one of your taps gets this soft water. So what it basically does is, so this is my inlet and outlet for my water heater. So but this, I don't have a water heater installed, but ideally, if at all, if you have your water heater installed, you'll be taking the inlet of the pipe to the inlet of the water heater, and then the outlet of the water heater to the outlet, so that it comes to your hot water tap inside your bathroom. But then what I've done is I've directly connected the inlet to the inlet of the softener, and then the outlet to the outlet of the softener without having my heater connected. Okay, so that's basically what I've done. So let's see how this works. So through the inlet, what we'll be getting is the hard water, and through the outlet, what we'll be getting is the soft water. So when you have hard water coming through inside the softener, what basically happens is there is magnesium and calcium salts, concentrated magnesium and calcium salts present in the hard water. So what it's going to do is, when it goes and reaches the softener, so this whole container right here consists of what is called as resins. Resins are substances, there are a lot of use cases for that, but here what it's going to do is, it is going to trap all these salts and give us soft water. So why do I have Na here? So Na is basically sodium. It's the chemical name for sodium. So this resin is a sodium based resin. What it is going to do is, I'm just showing you a way to easily understand. So let's say this is hard water, which is going inside this resin bed, whereas it consists of sodium salt. Not sodium salt, sodium ions to be precise. So when it enters this resin bed, magnesium and calcium are held back. They are trapped by this resin, and it starts displacing the sodium part of the resin. That's because, scientifically speaking, this has more charge than sodium. This is a weaker bond, and this is a very positively charged, more powerfully positively charged ion. So this will come inside the bed, and it will start displacing sodium, and it will get trapped inside the resin bed, and the sodium combines to form a water-soluble sodium salt and goes out as soft water, and thereby we getting our soft water out. So this is a very simple science behind this water softener. I'm sure there are other ways to soften water as well. Like, for example, you have a filter-based water softener, like what is happening inside RO systems. So in our RO systems, that's what happens. So we have a lot of complicated filters which goes through plethora number of filters before we get the water out, which is more of a purified water. But here we're not trying to purify the water. As it clearly says, it's a softener. All it's going to do is it's going to soften the water. It's not going to do anything else. So when we say soften, all it's ever going to do is eliminate magnesium and calcium ions from our hard water and give out the soft water. So once the sodium is out and comes out, it's more of a soft water. This is not hard, and thereby we achieve it. So does it really work? Yes, it works. Obviously it works, and it delivers what it promises without any hiccups. Yeah, so that is all about the working and the science behind it. So as you start using it, what happens is that these sodium ions which are present inside the resin are going to get depleted sooner or later, depends on, so there are various reasons at which there isn't a fixed cycle to it. So it depends on your hardness level of your water, and how much water you use on an everyday basis, and so on. All these parameters influence the depletion of sodium ions present inside the resin. So let's say after a point in time, all these sodium ions will get completely depleted. And that is when you'll no more get soft water out of this particular softener. That is when you need to start regenerating this softener to make sure that it goes back to its original working state. So for that, what the company has suggested is you have to, so there is a brine chamber right here. So brine. To start with the regeneration, you first need to start refilling the brine chamber with the brine solution. Mix salt and water together and start pouring on top of the brine chamber by removing the lid. Make sure you fill up the solution up till the brim of the chamber, and then you can move ahead with the second part of the regeneration cycle. Brine is nothing but salt water. It's basically salt water. So what is happening right here is that now that we have depleted all the sodium inside the resin, we are going to flush sodium inside the resin bed so that this magnesium and calcium are again kicked out, so that your resins are again charged up with sodium ions inside it. So, but that doesn't make sense, right? You said magnesium and calcium are weaker, I mean, they are more stronger. How will sodium ions gets replaced again? That is because brine is a concentrated solution. So how much salt have I added into it? I've basically added half a kilo, which is 500 grams of salt with water, and I have dissolved it. So this is 500 grams of salt dissolved with the amount of water that's present here. A fun fact is that the salt which I have used is nothing but our everyday Tata common salt. It's basically iodized salt. So to use this softener, you don't need any fancy salt tablets. They are selling such tablets online as well, and they are apparently a bit on the pricier side. It costs more than your everyday salt. All we need is, that is the reason I just explained the science behind it, so that you understand that you don't need all the fancy sauce to actually revert back to its original working state. You can just use some common salt. So 500 grams of Tata salt costed like 11 rupees. So that's the cost of it. So you dissolve that with normal water. So for best results, I have dissolved it with RO water. So if it's possible, try mixing it with RO or drinking water, because I need to, it should be completely concentrated with sodium. I don't want magnesium and calcium salts present in the brine solution, so that when the flushing happens, it'll be very seamless without, any other, these are more like contaminants for this particular process. So I've mixed that up right here. So now that we mixed it, what should we do to start the regeneration cycle? So these two knobs are the key elements right here. So this currently says service. So when it is in service state, all it's ever happening right now is water coming in and going through the resin bed, and it's going out as soft water. That's what service is all about. And then on the middle it says off. So when you switch it off, all your inlet and outlet is completely shut down. But then for the regeneration cycle, what we're going to do is completely turn the knobs upside down. So this is kind of misleading because they could have given something like an arrow mark right here, so that would have been more easier. But then they've gone with a more user-friendly approach where I can easily turn. But still, it was kind of misleading for me as well because this felt more like where it's pointing to. But then the truth is, it is on the opposite end. So this is where it's pointing towards. So for the regeneration cycle, you should start turning the knobs. So first pour the brine solution and then start turning the knobs. So I'm going to start turning the knobs. So once you start turning knobs, you'll find that the flushing starts. You'll have your brine solution going through the resin bed and coming out. So that is basically what's happening here. So it's going to go inside the resin bed and flush out all the magnesium and calcium salts which are trapped by the resin and recharging the resin with the sodium ions which are present in the brine chamber. So this is going to take approximately 10 to 15 minutes depending on, the flow is pretty very slow, to be honest, as you could see right here. So this will take approximately 10 to 15 minutes, and let me just discharge it and get back with you. Now that we have drained all the water from all the brine solution, I've flushed it out through the resin part of our water softener. Now we need to clean the salt. Basically, you'll have a lot of salt content inside it. So we need to clean the salt which is present inside this resin bed before we actually start using it. So for that, all you need to do is just change this particular knob to service, but beware, the pressure might be higher from this side. So this outlet pipe might start, going like this, because of the pressure. It happened to me, I completely got drenched because of that. So I'm just warning you all who was watching this so that you don't end up doing the same mistake I did. So I'm just going to hold it so that, this doesn't start moving. And then I'm going to start rotating this to the service. As you can clearly see, water is gushing out with a lot of force. You might want to make sure you hold it in place, or else this will start moving. This will approximately take 3 to 5 minutes. Now that you have completely drained or cleaned the water, now it's ready to use. So for that, change the knob back to the service mode. I've already changed it, I've stopped it, so I need to stop it. So I happen to change it as well. So change both the knobs. Obviously this is already changed to service, so don't touch that. Just change this particular knob back to service mode. And upon doing so, you'll start getting water back from your pipes, your taps, your hot water tap. So a little heads up here is that soon after flushing this, cleaning this, immediately don't test the water. It needs some time to settle out, and also the pre-softened water will be on the existing pipeline. So also open your taps for some time so that you let out the existing water so that you actually get water which is passing through the softener. So I'm going to show you right now that I'm just going to fill water in this particular mug. As you can see, the mug is quite empty. So I'm going to start filling up water right here. My tap is present here, so I can't really show right now. So let me start filling the mug. I'm going to start filling the mug. Now I'm going to do the same soap test on the softened water, and we're going to see how it looks right now. So we happen to see right here, this was the result of the hard water before it went through the softening process. Now let's do the same soap test on our soft water and see how it turns out to be. I'm going to start dissolving soap. Yes. As you can clearly see, there is no such, let me zoom it a little bit. Yeah, as you can clearly see, there is no such coagulation. The magnesium and calciums of the existing water, of the hard water, is completely eliminated. Now, also you could also see you could see foam as well forming up. So this was not forming up on this particular water when I dissolved the soap. So this clearly shows how good this actually works. It delivers what it promises. It does do the softening really well. And it turns out to be really efficient. As you can see, I have foam right now. Now the soap really cleans properly. As you start using, for example, after 2-3 days, you won't see the coagulation happening so badly, but slowly the coagulation will start taking place. As per my experience, I've been using this for the past 3 months, so I have regenerated it like at least 7 times for now. So I know how it works, so the time it takes. So my routine has been pretty much same given the current scenario and all that. So with that, keeping that in mind, the efficiency of the softened water start decreasing soon after 3 days. Not completely, but slowly starts depreciating, but not very bad. But probably after like 10 days, so that is the max this it takes for me. Especially, it depends on your usage. So what it says in the manual is that, so for someone having a hardness level of 900 to 1200, the regeneration cycle, the interval, will last approximately like 10 to 2 weeks. That's what they say as well. So that translates to my usage as well. So I happen to have the same experience from what they actually happen to tell me. So it's more or less the same. Now, to answer the question that we all been asking and wanting to know, is this water softener right for you? Is this really worth the money? Given that it kind of occupies a lot of space as well. So to answer the question, I would say yes, it is really worth the money, because first being, obviously it costed 11,500 rupees. I bought it from Amazon. If you happen to buy it from their local vendors, they happen to charge a bit more. So they first quoted me a price of 13,000, even though I specifically told them, in Amazon it was just 11,500. Why are you quoting it so much? They gave the same old answer. So for each and every distributor, we have all this taken into picture consideration. All this, they were giving me, but I personally believe it's, after all, Kent bathroom water softener, right? Doesn't matter who I'm buying it from. It needs to be the same. The results needs to be same anyway. So I didn't go for them, and I also believe that those people, if I thought if I were to call the local vendor people, the local distributors that are available for this particular product, I thought if I were to call and ask them to deliver it, I thought they'll do the installation immediately. But apparently, these distributors don't install that as well. All they do is they'll come and deliver the product, and you need to call up the customer service to request for an installation. So once I inquired more, I thought, okay, what is the point of spending 1,000 rupees more for, buying it from them and not getting any benefit out of it? So I stayed away from it and I ordered from Amazon. Of course, it took a long time. I mean, it pretty much took like a week, I guess. It took a week for me to get this delivered. And after that, I happened to raise a service request to the Kent, and they happened to install it the very next day. And upon doing so, what I noticed is, so the first thing is, yes, they were a bit prompt. One of my other friend also happened to buy it. I recommended it personally. And when he bought it, the service request, I mean, they didn't comply with the service request on the very next day. They took their time. They didn't actually come and install it the very next day. But for me, that didn't happen. So it depends. But then, from my experience, what I personally believe is their service is really not that great. I've also done some research as well, and many people, agree with the same thing. Their product is fine, but their service is really bad. One thing which I personally experienced is that the person who came and installed this, he had no knowledge about how this actually worked. Fine, he happened to fix it properly, that is not a big deal. But then upon asking him as to how to regenerate it and what is the working, he didn't have much of an answer for it. All he said was he actually happened to pour the brine water on top of it. Of course, he kept it at service. When I started tasting the water, I had the taste of salt water in it. So I asked him, why is it tasting salt? Why is it tasting salty? He said, so that's how it is. Slightly there'll be salt content on it. Before I bought it, I did my research. I know how it actually worked. So it really didn't, overlap with what he was saying. So it didn't make sense for me. So what I did is I went back to the manual. I had to go back to the internet and I did all the research. And apparently, none of that is the case. You won't be having any salty taste in the water. Nothing of that sort. Obviously, everything needs to be flushed out properly. If you do it properly, things are going to be very fine. And the cost. For this particular price point, there aren't really other competitors out there, right? I mean, it's 11,500. There are other companies who are doing water softeners. 3M does it. And there was also another company which I happen to forget. So, but then they are auto softeners. Here you need to manually pour all that and to get the water soft, and the regeneration cycle needs to be done, by yourself. But that other companies provide auto softener. Even Kent provides auto softener as well, but that's costing like 6 times of this price. And it's almost like 65,000 rupees. And one which is provided by 3M costs 85,000 to 1 lakh. It's pretty pricey, given the problem it solves. So at this price point, there aren't really other competitors. So we don't really have a choice at this point in time to really say if this is really worth than another product. But then given what it promises, it delivers. That is what I can personally say. Of course, it has its own cons. For now, I've been enlisting all the pros of this particular product. Obviously, it has cons. First being the huge space it occupies. So if you're having a small bathroom, or sometimes some bathrooms are very small as well, smaller than what I have. Mine is pretty small, this particular bathroom at least. So for this, it occupies a good amount of space. So this particular space right here, I can't really move. I have to be careful about what I'm doing right here. And even if I were to install a heater, then it'll even more occupy more space. The bathroom will look congested. So that's one con. And the second being, I started justifying the price. See, yes, I do say that it's worth the money, but imagine this resin which is present inside when needs to be changed after a year, or even after softening the water. I mean, even after regenerating, if it doesn't soften the water well, then you need to be changing the bed. Probably it has some limitations after a point in time. So when I inquired about the price point for changing it, they said it's going to cost somewhere between 500 to 1,000. That's the cost of the resin inside it. So I really started wondering, if that is the cost of the resin, and let's just say this plastic fixtures, the build quality is solid. It's not anyway, it's not really flimsy or anything of that sort. It is pretty solid and sturdy. But let's just say I'm giving out like 5,000 rupees for the build and everything with a profitable statement. Having that in mind and having your resins costing 500 to 1,000 rupees, I was really not able to justify the price. I mean, for a product which costs 11,500 rupees, what really constitutes to it? Of course, the mechanism and the R&D which was put inside it, but this is not something which was really innovated by Kent. These water softeners are really common in the West, which is in USA and other places across the globe. This is the very famous way to soften the water, and there are a lot of products available out there. But in India, especially in India, this is the semi-automatic water softener which I happen to find at this particular price point. So I'm not really sure how they calculated the pricing before launching this product. Obviously, as I stated before, there aren't any other competitors for me to give you a comparison on as well. So that is something which I really felt bad. Another is the regeneration cycle. Even though this has a capacity of 5.5 liters, it's not technically storing any water by any means. It's not going through, it doesn't have any filters. It just has resin beads. So resins looks like a bead, which I already showed in the previous part of this particular video. So it consists of beads, which basically goes through the process and captures all the magnesium and calcium salts. Talking about the regeneration cycle. So the regeneration cycle, even though it lasts for 10 days, might become a hassle if we happen to do it very often. So I would recommend, if your family size is pretty big, or if you're temporarily situated on a particular place. For example, if you've been living, you will be living probably on a if you're a college student, or if you've migrated for the sake of work and so on, unless and until you've planned to stay on a particular place for a longer period, I wouldn't really suggest you to invest in this particular water softener, because you can't probably carry it if you're moving out from one place to another place and so on. It's not easily detachable. It needs obviously you need a plumber to disassemble it and take it somewhere else. And also, if you have a very big family, what's going to happen is you'll end up using a lot of water. So this says for a TDS level of 900. See, TDS does not really translate to hardness. A part of the 900 TDS that they're talking about consists of hardness, which is calculated in parts per minute, approximately 120, 130. There's a lot of different, depending on the water that's currently available to you. So depending on that, it's going to change. But obviously, if more amount of water is going to be used, the sodium ions which is being replenished through this brine solution flushing that is happening, regeneration cycle, it's going to get depleted sooner. All these sodiums are very sooner going to get replaced with this magnesium and calcium, and you'll end up regenerating very often. That will become really cumbersome, because even myself, I found it really, sometimes I become very lazy about regenerating it. I'll be like, oh my god, I have to do it again. I just did it like 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks just passes by in a glimpse. So you need to keep that in mind. And with that expectations, if you were to start using the product, you'll be very satisfied with what it offers. And also for the maintenance, the running cost of the salt is very less, right? It just costed 11 rupees. So in a month, I happen to ended up using 2 to 3 packets depending on the usage. It keeps varying month by month. So based on that usage, if I were to do it, it just costed around, let's say, 33 rupees a month. 33 multiplied by 12, it gives somewhere an approximation of 400 rupees. So it's approximately going to cost you 400 rupees per year to have soft water running inside your bathrooms. So these are all the pros and cons. And if you feel it suits you, I'll really recommend to go ahead with this. It, of course, delivers what it promises. So thank you so much for watching, and see you next time on my next video. If you have any other suggestions, please drop that in the comment section. I'll try to rectify it, or probably add or answer your questions for this particular product. And also, if you really liked this particular video, a like to this video would really help me. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe, so that you'll be updated with the new videos which I happen to take and put in my channel. Thank you.